cognitive issues.
Yep.
So the order at 5:34, and I think the first order of business, what I'd like to do is make an announcement that notifications for all the work that's being done is being put on a city website, and it's fairly detailed. We also have notifications going out on Facebook that high school principal Bill Rooney is doing. We have emails going out by Bill Rooney as well as emails going out by Gail Clark. So I say this, I think everybody in the room knows that, but we, for people in the audience at home who might watch this, if they want to be notified, it's good to follow the Facebook page, connect with Bill Rooney or connect with Gail Clark about that. So that's issue number one. But issue number two is I actually see a couple of guests in the audience, and so I was wondering, rather than keeping them here the entire time, if they just have a quick point of business they want to raise to us, or yes.
I'm David Silvernail from Burnt Drive, my wife Ruth. Today on Burnt Drive, the water was shut off with no notification to the residents. And I want to point out how critical that is to some people, and well, to one person in particular, that's me, who has a medical issue that if I don't know that the water's going to be shut off, I might be in a big problem.
Okay.
I have to have water, I have to have running water, I have to have toilets that work. And had I known that the water was going to be shut off today, I would have left the house and been someplace where I had access to a bathroom. And so I want to, just point out how important it is for the residents to get the notifications.
This one was a little bit of an anomaly because we didn't actually know the water was going to be shut off on Burnt Drive. Steve, do you want to comment on that? Or?
Yeah.
Right ahead. Okay.
I think I spoke with
Our superintendent.
Yes.
Dave Gorman.
Yes,
Yeah,
Dave
so
Gorman.
apologies, but the original plan was we were shutting water off on Green and Fairway. and then the water department came out, and the valves that they needed to close weren't holding, so they had to close one further downstream in Rathrum and Willard. It ended up affecting your street. And we had sent out and brought leaflets and notified everyone on these two streets, because that was the impression that we got, that it would just be those two streets affected. And then, like I said, those valves didn't hold today, so they had to come down here.
Right,
So
I
it's kind of a-
appreciate the fact that, you know, something like that can happen. But, you know, the contractors also have to appreciate the fact that there are people living on those streets that may need the water and need to be notified. So if you're gonna shut off something like that and you haven't notified people, that can cause problems. So I don't, you're right down the street, I don't understand why you can't go door to door. There's 12 houses on the street, knock on the door, there's only a handful of people home, everybody's out of their house working anyway. But just to let people know what's going on, I can't tell you how upsetting it was for me personally this morning when the water wasn't working. And, you know, and again, I don't want to make as big of an issue of it as I do want to make a big issue out of it. When we called and talked to Consigli, they blamed Walsh Contracting. And that's like being in a restaurant and complaining to the manager, and the manager says, it's the waitress's fault. It's like Consigli runs the project, they need to take responsibility. When we talk to them, they need to give us an acceptable answer, not that Walsh is doing a bad job. So, you know,
Okay,
that's
so-
the word we got, was Walsh is doing a bad job.
Mary
There
Ann.
were problems.
If
There were
I could
problems with
comment, we actually had a project meeting this morning, and we discussed this very issue to say, let's not leave it to chance, that we need to put the notifications out there, that we know the following streets are impacted, but it could, if something unforeseen, impact a wider range. And going into your point, and I'm very sorry, you know, for your inconvenience this morning, more than inconvenience.
No, I appreciate it.
Because I know
And I'm
it's
sure
medical. We
everybody
will,
that
we will
spoke
do a
to
better
is very,
job
very
about.
sorry. I just want to try to have a better job in the future, so that we don't get caught unawares. Another thing I want to comment on, and this is not related to that, but I was on the website today, and I was trying to read the meetings of this, the meeting minutes of this group here. And the last update on the website is December of 2018.
Okay.
I'll add those
Specifically
minutes.
wanted to see what the minutes as regarded to the input from all the residents of Burnt Drive regarding the sign. I personally don't have a problem with the sign, but I was interested to find out when the next meeting was going to be. I knew it was going to be this month, and I wanted to see what was in the minutes about those discussions that were had. And like I said, the minutes haven't been updated since December.
Okay, I'll add those in.
Do you have an email address? I don't know.
Yes,
if you-
Gail has our
Has it.
email
And what
address.
number were you on, Bill Drive?
31.
31.
It wasn't there something?
The water issue, which I spoke again with the, I think it was Dave, about the fact that, you know, we were assured at some of the meetings that the dust was
Oh,
going
that's
to be under control.
Mhm.
And when it was raining, we noticed that the water truck was out there. And once things got dry and hot,
A lot
the
of
water
dust
truck
blowing around and
has
no
all
water truck.
kind of dust blowing around, and, you know, it's like, I know things can happen, but because this is such a sensitive, highly charged issue, I would hope that the people involved would always be trying to go the extra mile to make sure that what we're told is going to happen in a meeting gets done.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if it's not getting done, get on the backs of those people, and the people that are on site need to be on the backs, riding the backs of these contractors.
Yeah, so Walsh has dedicated more manpower tomorrow specifically to address street sweeping and watering and dust protection. So we talked to them, and
Okay.
we're going to increase the efforts.
Okay.
Keep them
And
under control.
I don't mean to be a pain in the neck, but when we went to the meeting that was in the big auditorium, these aren't quotes, but this is essentially what was said. There's gonna be a water truck there. It's gonna be there for dust control every day. And then when it got dusty, there was no truck there. And the people from, and again, I'm gonna pick on Consigli because I think they're the ones that are in charge of Walsh.
Yep, and I was the guy at the meeting that said
Okay.
exactly what you're quoting.
And I don't understand how you can be there on the site and see that happening and not take care of it, especially when it's a promise made to the residents.
Yep, so we're addressing it. Hopefully it doesn't happen.
Thank you.
Along those lines, while they're here now, is there, I guess this is a two-part question, is there any anticipation of having to turn the water off again over the next few days? And did you get any indication from the water department that they're going to fix the valves that are closer to Fairway and Green? Or anytime they have to shut valves off over there, are they going to have to do the one further up the street?
So, to answer the first question, we don't anticipate another shutdown, but however, we didn't anticipate this first shutdown until we opened up the street, and the existing condition was different from what the drawing showed.
Okay.
So, provided that doesn't happen again, we don't anticipate another shutdown.
Yeah.
We'll have to follow up with the water department on their plan of action for repairing the valves that weren't working today.
Okay.
I didn't get that feedback yet.
Okay. Thank you.
That's it for us. I appreciate
Thank you.
your attention and your time.
Thanks for coming.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
All right, we'll start with that. City Council President. Okay, so first order of business is to approve the minutes of July 10th.
It's a good thing you got here, Jack.
Just in time.
Second.
Second, very good. Any discussion? All the ayes say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No, very good, thank you. Next order of business is the project update from the owner authorization letter. 15 is the structural steel package. Steve, yes.
Yep.
sorry.
So, structural steel, this is for the entire building. This is the large project, the large portion of the steel. We actually had a lot of competitive bids for this. We ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bidders on this. We brought in the 3 most competitive, had full D-scopes, once again with Skanska, KBA, and the structural engineer involved. Ended up that we'd like to recommend Super Metal Structures. They're out of Canada. They're using a local erector to erect the steel. We have allowances that for anticipated costs that we can't, for scope that we can't quite define, and also some allowances for bad weather days mixed in, and the dollar amount we're seeking approval for is $11,690,000. This is a $1.2 million savings from what we had budgeted, which is good news as well. Super Metal has a nice open spot in their production line, and this project fits in nicely for them. So, we would like approval to authorize Super Metal to move forward.
Very good. Do you have any
So
discussion?
moved.
Second.
Any discussion about that? No? All the ayes say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No, very good. Thank you for that, and that's the vote to recommend, Do we need to do a separate vote? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No,
I think
that's sufficient, yeah. Okay, so the construction change directives, vote to confirm signature mayor to the following construction change directives. So I'm just gonna go through these. You have the CCD 001. Oh, Jack? you wanna say something?
I was just gonna say that the next thing, if you look at the top of the next page, is the change of cost line, and I think maybe we should look at that in
First?
conjunction with these,
Sure.
because some of these are on the change request log.
Okay. As you wish. Steve's hearing is out to us right now. Thank you. So let's review 001, change request 001 first. Steve's handing those out, so just take a moment. Yep. Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Good meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Okay, so this first one is the construction change directive 001. It's the valve flow chamber. It's in the amount of $2,638.86. Does anybody want to have any discussion about this or update us what this is exactly? Any?
No, that's separate, isn't it? The CCD is different.
Is this not on?
This is CC.
No, so this CCD one
Was CR.
They're different.
is
Oh,
CR 003 on the document I just passed
Oh,
out.
never mind. Okay, one letter off. Couple letters off. Okay.
So, construction change directive number 1 has become
C,
change request number 3?
yeah, 003, and this committee voted on and approved that previously.
Any way we can cross-reference it, just so they have it in their school building committee minutes? I know it's a little extra effort, but
That's okay. We'll figure it
takes the
out.
mystery out of it.
Yes, we can revise the description, so it incorporates the CCD number, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That would be good.
Somewhere, and then that way,
Mhm.
when
Yep.
Gail moves it through the city, people will not be trying to figure out
Yes,
the
we
alphabet
can,
this-
soup of what.
we can do
This is
that.
the item that we already approved, which was for the sewer department's request to change the size of a valve in the sewer pumping station, correct?
Was to move a water meter valve into the manhole rather than having it outside.
Okay.
And that required the manhole to get bigger to do that.
This
we've
is a
already
change
approved
request, correct?
Yes.
What do you want to cover next, Steve?
Oh, I thought the mayor was going through the CCDs, I'm sorry.
I think we should go through the CCDs to show that ones that they have been signed by you. Just review them and vote to confirm those, and then we can move on to the change requests.
Very good. So as we were then, the construction change directive, it's CCD 001. It's the valve flow chamber. It was date signed was June 12th. We just need a motion. Do we vote for that?
I think Steve said we already voted on this.
Yeah, we've already voted on that one, so.
This is just the backup. We did
We
this
just-
2 weeks ago.
Just a backup.
Well, this became, CCD 1 became change request number 3, and we already voted to approve change request number 3.
Correct.
So to,
So do we need to approve CCD 1?
No.
again, just as a quick summary, a CCD is a construction change directive, and it's done when you don't have the time or you don't know the value of a change that needs to happen quickly. And so we issue those, and they're signed by KBA, the mayor's office, and
City auditor. Deb.
city auditor, because you have to have a certification of funds. Mass law requires that you have an estimate of what the value of that cost might be for that change, and that the municipality reserves that money down the road to put towards the eventual change request that's generated by that work. So the CCD itself doesn't actually get rid of any money in terms of what's on the contract. It only encumbers money for future dispensation for what's gonna happen with the change request. So, for instance, with this chamber, it went out as a time and materials cost. We'll get a change request, or did get a change request for it, that it comes in as a time and material cost that we then process against the change log. And that value that we were holding for the encumbered money is just released until we pay the bill. But the CCDs don't actually cost any money, it's the change requests that are generated by them that you then process for monetary changes of the contract.
And every CCD will become a change request.
Yes. Sometimes there's zero, not very often there's zero if the balances out for some reason. But they either are a credit or a cost, yes.
Okay, so we don't need to vote on any of the CCDs.
So
I
going forward,
agree.
we don't need to vote.
We don't need to vote on the CCDs, only on the CRs.
The CRs,
It
right?
only encumbers money. You'll get the CR for that CCD eventually down the road.
Okay. So we can skip ahead.
we scratch that.
Yeah, scratch that, and we can skip ahead to the change request, reviewed by Consigli.
Yep.
Next, and actually, I looked at that, 001, it's the drainage utility, changes, so do you have any comment on that, Steve?
No, the CR 001?
Yes.
No, it was, we had thought it was originally approved by the committee already.
Okay.
It was signed by the mayor, but I did not, I reviewed the minutes of the videos, and I didn't see that we
Even the
actually
20,
voted
the
on it.
previous? Really?
Checked both. So that's why I added it on tonight.
We can go ahead and just vote on it, it's
Just
not
go
gonna
ahead.
hurt. Yeah, it's not gonna hurt just to vote on it, so do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion on this? No? All the ayes say aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Nope, very good. So that was the amount of $2,600,386.86. So the next one is another vote. It's to approve the authorization of the mayor on the change request for CR 007, which is the existing water main conflict in the amount of $2,439.30. Do we have any discussion?
Is that what we just discussed here?
No, so
That's a
the
different thing.
background on CR 007 and CR 008, right here in, it's hard to see, but right where the new rotary is going to be, based on the existing water mains, where we had manholes called for, there was 2 of them in place, they physically couldn't fit, so we had to adjust the location of the manholes and then add what's called a drop inlet and some piping to get from the new location of the manhole. So a drop inlet is basically a 2x2 structure, drainage structure with a frame and a grate that allows the water to get into, and then there's a small section of pipe that gets to the manhole. So we originally just had manholes in those locations, but based on existing conditions, we had to move the manholes, add the drop inlets, and then allow a way for the water to get from the drop inlet to the manholes. So this,
The water main was not where we thought it would be. As we've told and said in the past, the information that the city has on water and sewer is a little scant due to some floods and other things that have ruined documents in the past. So what we had was very limited information, and it turned out that the water main was at a different elevation than we thought, and so it conflicted with the drainage lines that were going across the road at that point. And to get under the water main, we had to have the drop inlets to get under the water main. That's
so it actually happened
Twice.
once on one side of the street and the exact same scenario on the other side of the street. So that's why there's 2 separate documents from the architect that were priced, because they were a couple
Identical.
days apart, but they were
They're
discovered
exactly the same price.
Very good.
So that's 7 and 8.
7 and
Yes.
8, yeah.
And those are now agreed upon prices?
Yep.
Yes.
And
Skanska and our consultants have all looked at them and said they were viable.
And you're recommending all of that to us?
Yep.
So you want to vote to approve 7 and 8?
So moved.
Second?
All the ayes say aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Very good. 7, 8 are squared away. So change order 1 is the approval of CR 1-3-003, approved July 10th. Do
Yes,
we,
what happens, Mayor, is that
we need
once we have approved the change requests, whatever ones at the next billing cycle are ready to go, they become a change order.
Yep.
And so change order number 1 will encompass change requests 1 and 3 for $10,442.50 for the total, correct?
Yes.
And so we need to then vote to approve change order number 1 encompassing our previously voted change requests 1 and 3.
Yes. We're told that you have to vote for both of them, correct? Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? No? All the ayes say aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Oh, very good. So that's all we have on.
Well, I just wonder though, have we gone over the other items on this? 'Cause I
That's what I was
know
gonna-
We can go through the whole
we've
list if you
already
like.
approved Number 5, is that correct, Steve?
Excuse me?
We've already approved change request number 5?
Right, so the committee, we discussed it last meeting, and the committee voted on it. However, the design team found some costs that shouldn't have been in there. We reduced the scope, and pushed back to Walsh to revise the number based on a new scope. So they're in the process of doing that right now, so the cost is coming down. So we'll have to present, once we get the final number, once we know the cost from Walsh.
So we'll rescind our vote to approve number 5 at the appropriate time?
Correct.
And replace it with
With
another
a
vote?
new vote, yes.
Updated the number, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then, top of the page, CR 006 is some work associated with the drainage across the street at the Highland Park. Temporary parking lot that is under review by Walsh right now. They are pricing that scope up. CR 009,
Is that one we think might become a credit?
Yes.
yeah,
But
so
it's also, it's work that was generated from the final review comments and requirements by the Concom.
Okay.
CR,
It's not ready to vote on yet, that's just a look ahead.
no, we're still reviewing the pricing from Walsh and making sure they have the correct scope. CR 009 has to do with an existing light pole in the south parking lot that it was called to be relocated, but the existing condition of the conduit basically was disintegrated, so we had to redo the conduit and the wiring that feeds that pole, and we have to add what's called a handhole to be able to complete the splice work. So that work is being priced up right now by our electrical contractor. CR 010 has to do with the large infiltration basin right here that was installed, that we're gonna use a different material and have a different elevation for backfill there. And that is currently being priced up. And then CR 11 is the south lot. We had to revise the grading and some different elevations there before we were able to pave. So that work was completed on TNM. We're just gathering up the appropriate backup for that in the tickets. So
Sorry.
probably be ready next week.
Happened to be here the other night, noticed a lot of vehicles parked in that lot, obviously after you guys were working.
Yep.
Looked like there was a tournament going on, or maybe a sports practice. Is that disrupting the work you guys are doing during the day at all?
No.
Okay.
No, we have left open what will not affect our work during the day by design. At some point in the very near future, we're gonna repave, and we'll have to close it off temporarily, but that will be done during normal work hours, and we'll probably be able to open it up later at night, just like we have been.
Yeah,
So-
it looked like there were some cones that may have been relocated for people to park after hours, so
Yeah, typically after hours, it's okay.
okay. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Because there's nothing to vote on with those items then,
No, I think we
just discussion.
just a look ahead.
Yeah, that's more just an
Yeah.
update,
Yeah.
correct, nothing to vote on, nothing else to vote on.
Keep
Those
you in
are,
the loop.
those are approximates when we get the actual numbers in?
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's just
Okay.
keep you in the loop.
Typically, if you see a nice round number.
It's an estimate on the
Yes.
higher side of what we think?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Is there any other order of business anybody wants to chat about before we adjourn for today?
Well, two things. One is that Steve typically at these meetings would tell us what's been happening since our last meeting
Yep.
and give us a look ahead. Do you want to do that?
Sure. So this picture was taken this morning, actually. This is this is drone footage. But a lot of the action is taking place as people, of course, it's behind the tree here, but a lot of the work is being done in the sewer, the new sewer in Rathbun Willard. And then also grading at this north lot here, that the intent is to pave the south lot and the north lot within the next week, basically the same day, get them both done. And And then we're also working a little bit on, we installed another section of the duct bank, the electrical duct bank here, for National Grid, although we're in conversations with them because they have concerns about the location of the easement and the manholes. So we're working with them and gonna schedule a meeting with them to make sure that they're on the same page as us. So for the most part, the work we're doing is in Rathbun Willard, doing utilities and then working on both of these lots, getting them regraded so that we can repave south and north lot. That's a bulk of the activity right now. And then we're starting some work in this area here to get ready for, eventually there's going to be, I can spin this around. So we have a wooden ramp that's going to be built right here because this loading dock becomes our emergency egress. So that'll happen in the next couple of weeks, which will allow us to shut down the pool entrance and put the temporary wall inside the pool that perhaps for this chiller to be relocated. And then we're also in the existing boiler room abating some hazardous material here, getting ready for the new breaching stack that will allow us to demo the existing and come through the new roof. And then the last thing we've been working on is relocating the existing electrical on the roof of the existing school. That's kind of an update. What we're doing, what's coming up the next couple of weeks.
One of the issues that I know from the weekly construction meetings is that National Grid needs to submit an application to relocate some of the power poles.
Yes.
And I just found out that the city council is having a special meeting on August 6th. Were you able to contact National Grid at all since our earlier meeting?
I have not. Dave Gorman has the contact to get hold of Matt Eustace. I don't know if Dave has been able to do that. I have his email, but not his phone.
Yeah, he reached out to him today. I don't know if he talked to him.
The special meeting to get us on the schedule for that August 6th meeting, council, that's something I have to ask them about because it's a investigation they're doing of the matter. And it's not a normal meeting, it's not a normal council meeting, so I don't know if they want to open it up to other business or just leave it at that. But I can ask this council president, I have to call him right after this anyway, so.
Appreciate if you would do that,
Yeah,
because
we'll let you guys know.
National Grid has been telling us that once the pole relocations are approved, then it takes 2 weeks to get on the construction schedule and 4 weeks to get the work done. So if we can, if we have to wait till August 20th, we have to wait, but if we can get 2 weeks closer, we'd like to.
Very good. So, yeah, so all but 2 of the poles that National Grid is involved with will delay completion of work. I mean, without getting into all the gory details, there's some that affect the rotary, there's a couple that affect the sewage station down at Brennan Way, and then there's a couple that affect installing drainage in Rathbun Willard near Rome. So 3 different areas that we will not be able to complete the work if National Grid's work is not done. And then there's 2 others that are exactly at the entrance, the new entrance and exit for the new school, which we are going to use as our entrance and exit throughout construction, which are less important at this point, but eventually those will become a problem too. But we'd rather focus on all the other ones that need to be either relocated or brand new.
If it is possible, if National Grid can get it into the council, they don't require a public hearing for a pole relocation. All they have to do is say, yes, you can move the pole from here to there.
Right, and it's work that's has not been a secret. I mean, KBA and Skanska were in discussions with National Grid in last fall,
Yeah.
in December, January, so shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. And the locations haven't really changed. They staked out the locations 4 weeks ago. So,
I think Craig has some items for us.
Yeah, just a few new business items I put up here as far as things that are important in the next, that's gonna be from a next couple weeks standpoint, is the proposed construction sign. Now that we're starting to get into the building, and it's taking shape, even though people have seen a lot of things going on, we're gonna put up a proposed, I'm gonna show you the proposed construction sign here, and this is a sign that has certain requirements that we have to do as part of an MSBA project, meaning the size of it is a 4-foot by 8-foot sign, so everybody will be able to see it very clearly, and you have to have the language, as you see in the middle, that says this project is funded in part by the Massachusetts School Building Authority. Beyond that, it's whatever is chosen to be on it. We put this together and wanted to show it to you for informational purposes. You typically list the architect, the OPM, the construction manager, and then figureheads that are involved in it from the community. And then obviously it's the most important thing is that the project's made possible by the residents and taxpayers of the city.
Where will this sign go?
I'm sorry?
Where does the sign go?
We haven't determined that. We can put it wherever you want on the site.
It either gets mounted on posts or it gets mounted on the fence.
Yeah.
Typically, it gets mounted on 4x4 posts.
Joe writing that strip between the easement.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we'll put it right there.
This
We can
is
put
not a
that
lighted sign, this is a
This
static
is just
sign.
a static, yep.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, do you guys want it to be glossy or matte?
Just thinking that, Matt, make sure it's not.
So that's item number one. Item number two is proprietary items. We've mentioned it before, but now's the time that we're actually at that point that we need to talk about it and explain to you the process for it. Now, Mass General public bidding laws require us as designers to always list 3 equals of anything that we specify in the project. But they also allow proprietary items if it's in the sound and best interest of the municipality. And you have to demonstrate through a reasonable investigation, etc. Well, I won't read the whole thing off to you, but really so you can select a single product as long as there's a basis of it being in the best interest of the city. So as we've gone through programming, worked with city officials, etc., this list has been compiled of items that are recommended to be or required to be proprietary as part of this project. It's important to note that even though the state law is written, that even though it's proprietary and we're saying you can only use this product, we still have to provide an or equal clause. But typically, because it's proprietary, and that goes into the sound reasons of why it is proprietary, that it very rarely ever changes the proprietary vote on the product. And that's where it comes into the reasoning and the justification. So with the MSBA, the proprietary items are required to be voted on by an elected committee. So what is typically done, because the school committee, building committee is not an elected committee, that the school building committee will review it, make a recommendation for it to be approved by the school committee, and that's what we're doing here today. So as far as the lists you see here, I'm going to kind of go through each one and explain to you why it's been determined to be proprietary. The first one is industrial cabinet saw. For lack of a term, it's a table saw. But with the saw stop is a safety industrial saw. And if anyone hasn't seen it, it's pretty impressive of a machine that the motor can sense if there's flesh come near the blade, and it seizes the motor and drops the blade down in. So they demonstrated it by using a hot dog, and you can just see it when you tap it with a hot dog. I believe you have some in your existing school already. I believe when I was walking around I saw one. So it's something that people are familiar with in this. It This gets placed in almost every school that we work on.
Proprietary because it's limited. to
They're the
one
only ones that
manufacturer.
have that, yeah.
So proprietary can also be that only one or two manufacturers make something, and you don't have the ability to specify three manufacturers. That's also required by MGL to be listed as proprietary.
So the next three are the radio master master radio box, the Knox box, and the Knox document cabinet. Those are all are city standards of the City of Attleboro's fire department. So every building that goes up in Attleboro has these in it. It's how their system works. The radio master box is how the fire alarm communicates with the fire department. So if a fire alarm goes off, the Knox box are those little boxes that you see that have all the keys to get in the building at the entry. And then a Knox document cabinet is a cabinet that is next to the master control panel that has all the information on the school for them that they can quickly pull up.
So the Knox boxes have keys that you need to open them, and those are either both in the police cruisers, if the police are using, because you have police Knox boxes too, right?
Yes.
Blue ones, and we have red ones for the fire department. But if they had multiple manufacturers, they'd have to have multiple keys to open different ones at different locations. So the city, fire department, and police department feel that it's better to have one key that they can use as a master key to open all the boxes on all the buildings in the municipality. So that's why they require it to be proprietary.
The next one is the security glass. We've talked in detail about school guard glass through some meetings in history. I don't know if you need me to explain that anymore. The next item is the stage flooring. Stage lamb is what it is. And it's a solid phenolic panel. And it's it's specialized. They're the only one who makes this type of floor in the industry. So they're the ones that are in every Broadway and in all the professional stages. There's the alternate that you see commonly done is a tempered hardboard. But it's lesser of a quality, but it also, with the stage lamb, it allows you to perform more things on it because of the surface. That, again, it's a highly specialized. We do put it in most of our schools as well for the specific reason that it's something that they can fasten sets down to. The color's the right color as far as the lights being on it, meaning it's very straightforward as far as maintenance of it.
As specified by our theater consultant, this is the only product that meets the requirement.
The next item is the actual lighting control panel, and that's the switch panel, the panel that has the buttons and the slides on it, for lack of a better way to explain it. And it's the reason that this came about was discussions during programming with the performing arts and music staff, their experience, their understanding, and the ETC EOS series this is the actual specific one from that series, but that's the industry standard that they use in professional throughout the country and throughout the world. So and it's a system that they're comfortable with now, and the intent is, because it's going to be a learning space and that's the predominant one, it's in the best interest for it to have it in your school so that you're preparing your students that choose to go out in the industry, that they have a leg up because they're already trained on that type of lighting panel. The next two are technology items. Both of them are Attleboro Public School standards, and why that's important again is you wouldn't put a Ford part in a BMW. So because everything is that way, the firewalls are all designed to talk as far as an overall network, and same with the switches are all, they can remotely manage them as part of their enterprise system. So it makes sense to do those specifically, because it would actually cost more because you would to do a whole separate system, because you'd have to build it on top of the infrastructure you already have.
Very common.
Yes. So that is a quick explanation of proprietary items and why this list has been populated over the past year and a half, meeting with staff, meeting with public officials. And so, what, as I mentioned, is we'll be looking for you to have discussion on it, if anybody has any questions. And then second, to recommend this to go to the school committee for their vote of approval.
Move to recommend.
Discussion first.
When would you need the school committee approval by?
Ultimately, before it goes out to bid.
Has to be by law.
By law, before it goes out to bid, but we,
Well, actually, take that back. This body can vote by law to approve it for bidding.
yes.
The MSBA has an additional requirement that requires an elected body to vote for it. So the state law only requires the municipality to authorize it.
Rob is asking, because I think our next scheduled meeting is August 12th.
5th.
Is it the 5th? I have it as the 12th.
And we,
You're not the only
That would be
person.
fantastic, because
Gee,
it'll
yeah.
precede our 90%
we had,
set.
we had, that was our goal, our hope, as we talked internally from a
But our
scheduling
next meeting is
standpoint.
August 14th, and at that night, we're going to be asked to, we're going to be shown the latest bid numbers and asked to
Correct.
submit the 90% approval.
Correct.
So
So-
if either on the 5th or the 12th, the school committee votes this, that would probably be helpful,
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
and then if we could get a
But-
copy of the meeting minutes,
We
that
need
We
that.
need a certified
That would be
copy of the
important.
meeting minutes.
Perfect, thank you.
The earlier the better. Helpful.
It was the 12th, it was switched to the 5th.
Okay, thank
Someone's
you.
vacation, I don't know.
Thank you.
I just show up.
So we will be present as your project team for that school committee meeting as well. If we can make it on the agenda and present it in a
I'm on it.
greater, more,
We've got
more
this.
greater detailed document. And we'll work with the members of the working group to make sure that's a concise document that everybody's comfortable with.
Perfect, thank you.
I think there's been a motion and a second, right?
Yes. All the ayes say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No? Very good, thank you.
That's everything I had to talk about.
Joe or Marion?
Good.
No, I think we're on track. Things are moving along. I'm very pleased about how it's going. My only regret really is what happened with one of the abutters. And I talked to him, and we will work this out, that we come up with a plan and try and not have this happen again.
Just a quick look ahead then, on August 14th, we're going to be looking at the landscape bid, Steve?
Yeah, the intent right now is to have the owner approval letter ready to vote on, as well as pre-GMP package 3. So we've already voted on steel, site, and concrete. Landscape was the last piece to vote on, and then the overall pre-GMP
We're
package.
also going to have contractors to pre-qualify for bid package 4. And we're also going to have the 90% submission approval with numbers. So those are the 3 big topics for the next meeting, correct?
Correct.
Do we want to revisit when the groundbreaking will be? Talk about scheduling that at some point?
When is the work going to progress to the point where a groundbreaking is appropriate?
And it
Columns?
depends on what your appetite is for progress.
How about this, when are you gonna put in the foundation for the school? When are you gonna actually break ground for the foundation? Because right now you guys are working on the periphery on the utilities, what about the foundation itself?
So-
That'd be a good time.
So we start digging in August.
Okay, so
We'll start digging, but some people don't think that looks
Cool.
impressive enough, or, you know what I mean? So if you want concrete in the ground, if you want steel up, it's a different
No, I don't
answer.
think we need that.
No,
I just think we,
piles of dirt are okay.
yeah, piles of dirt and some ceremonial
I
shovels.
got piles of dirt, I mean.
Breaking the ground, I mean, it's kind of living up to its name.
I thought that we were going to wait for the kids and all to be
Yeah.
back, but that's
the
happening
end of
in a
August.
month, at
That's
the end of
Hold your
August.
breath, we're there.
So we could schedule it for any time appropriate in September?
Yeah, beginning of September, end of August.
I mean, the only thing that I will say is that we have some students who want to work on a time capsule that would be a part of some sort of cornerstone ceremony or something like that. So that would take a little bit more time for them to get some momentum once they're returned to school.
Could that be part of the topping off, you know, with the steel?
Yeah.
That way that gives them the school
We're
year
not gonna have a
to,
building to have a cornerstone
No.
in the end of August.
that would actually line up.
Yeah, so why don't we have a groundbreaking, and then when we have the topping off, we can do the cornerstone.
Sure.
Yeah.
No worries.
I have a suggestion, is, I believe it's posted on the Minuteman website, but it might be worth looking at their groundbreaking ceremony, you know, inviting dignitaries and, you know, I know the MSBA would want to be here, someone like Jack McCarthy, et cetera, so we would want to coordinate and get into their schedule.
We just have to figure out
Have
that
them
date. I guess maybe we
participate.
can figure that out with Bill, though, because if you wanted your students present for the groundbreaking, you know, a handful of students in the background or something,
I'll defer to this superintendent, school committee, but we'll,
Yeah, and I don't know what sort of parameters we have to operate around, but if there aren't any, I think late September, early October, it's just a really nice time of year to be outside for a thing like that, so.
for the groundbreaking.
Yeah, if you do it too much before that, you could be in sweltering heat. If you do it too late, you could be cold. You know, just, there's a nice window there that we could maximize.
So maybe like after September 20th, is that what you're thinking?
Yes, I mean, somewhere in there, maybe we look at a district calendar and
Yeah.
pick some possible dates and bring those back.
2
Could I make
months to
one?
get everybody that you want to have at the
Yeah,
ceremony.
you need
on the
weeks to
calendar.
give everyone enough notice and, yeah.
I was gonna make one request, that it not be October 4th, because that's Minuteman's ribbon cutting.
All right.
It's hard to be in two
Cross that one out.
places. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
I think we can run it.
So we can take up
MSBA will be there.
hammer down an actual date, but maybe what we can do in the meantime is start flagging somewhere around September 20th to September 30th, is when we would do it, just to kind of let some of the dignitaries, the VIPs know that's when we would approximately be inviting them by. Does that sound like a plan? And then we can hammer down a real date much later, maybe at the end of August or so, middle of August. When do we meet next? The 14th, is it?
14th of August.
Okay, so maybe we can decide a date on August 14th, if that's good with Dave.
Yeah, we'll try to map that out.
Okay, sounds good. Very good. Craig, yes?
Yeah, I just have one last item that I want to mention in regards to the OAL that the group approved tonight. The contractor, as you mentioned, is from Canada. So if you ask them their name, they're actually Super Metal. But even though they're from Canada, we have confirmed even during descoping that they are purchasing American-made steel and fabricating from that, and then it's being built by American workers as well. And I know we know that's near and dear to many people's hearts.
No, that's good to let everybody know that, because one post on social media is going to make a fuss of this, so we have a army of people here in the room that participate in social media and can quickly dispel any notions that we're
Really?
exporting, yeah, so, because it's just headaches.
Dispel
we don't
social
need.
media. That's a new thought. Can't underestimate the impact.
Yeah, look what it does for Donald Trump. Cool. Do we have any other order lines of business? Anybody else want to address anything before we make a motion to adjourn? Very good. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It is 6:23. Motion, meeting is adjourned. Next meeting is August 14th.